All right, strap yourselves in
Yeah.
because today we're going deep into digital art and crypto.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
We are. We're looking at DecentralArt. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it.
They're trying to do something really interesting with buying and selling art and even breaking it up into pieces.
I've heard about that, yeah. Using tokens, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all based on these art tokens, but what really got me hooked is their strategy for the token sale.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's all about phases and stages. Prices go up as you move through each stage. It almost feels like,
Like a game almost.
yeah, like a game. I don't know if that's intentional, but it definitely adds this layer of strategy to it.
I can see that. We see that in other markets too, though, right? Limited edition drops, that kind of thing.
Totally. It creates that sense of scarcity. Like, gotta get in early before it's gone.
And urgency. Exactly.
Oh.
That could be a really smart way to get people excited.
So let's talk about these RT tokens. Are they just another crypto or is there more to them?
Well, on the surface, yeah, they're a cryptocurrency. You use them to buy art on the platform.
Makes sense.
But they're also designed to be more than just something you speculate on, you know?
Okay, so they're tied to the platform itself.
Yeah. It's like they represent a piece of this whole digital art ecosystem.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're not just buying a token, you're kind of buying into the idea.
Exactly. You're participating in its growth and how it changes over time.
I'm with you. But this token sale, it's not as straightforward as like setting a price and letting people buy, right?
You're right. It's not. It's actually a two-phase system.
Two phases.
Yeah.
Okay, break that down for me.
So phase one is like early access for people who are already kind of in the know, right?
So they get rewarded for being early adopters.
Exactly. They can get the RT tokens at a lower price, but there's only a limited number available.
So there's that fear of missing out. Got to get in now before the price goes up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But then what about people who miss that first phase?
What happens to them? Are they just out of luck?
No, not at all. Phase two is where it opens up to everyone.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But there's a catch. The price of the tokens, it goes up with each stage of the sale.
Oh, hold on. So if you wait too long, it could get really expensive.
Yeah, potentially. It's designed to encourage those early birds, but also give everyone a chance.
I can see how that would work. So how much are we talking about here? What's the difference between like the first stage and the last?
Let's see. In the first stage of phase one, you're looking at 0.01 Matic per token.
Okay.
But by the last stage of phase two, it jumps to 0.29 Matic.
Whoa, hold on. That's a huge E difference, almost 30 times more expensive.
That's right. It's a pretty steep climb. They're definitely trying to manage the demand and maybe even discourage folks from just flipping those tokens for a quick profit.
That makes sense. Reward the people who believe in the project long term.
Right, the true believers.
But wait, I think I read something about bad drops too. What are those all about?
Airdrops. Oh, those are like little bonuses they sprinkle in throughout the whole process.
So free tokens, basically.
Yeah. Think of it as a reward for those early supporters and a way to generate some buzz and excitement.
So what, just for getting in early, you get some extra tokens on top?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
For the first airdrop, you get a 10% bonus on whatever you buy.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Plus, you get 100 RT tokens just for setting up your wallet.
It's like a welcome gift.
Exactly. And then the second airdrop is a 5% bonus on your purchase.
Okay, not as much, but still something.
Yeah, still a nice perk. And it keeps people engaged and interested.
So it's not just about getting those free tokens. It's about building a community around the project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're trying to create this sense of like ownership and belonging among the early supporters.
I can see that. It's smart.
And by spreading out those tokens, they're potentially increasing demand, which could boost the value of RT tokens over time.
Okay, so airdrops, they're not just a gimmick. They're actually a pretty clever strategy.
Yeah, I think so. It all ties back into building that foundation for a strong marketplace.
Makes sense. Now, I think I'm starting to get this whole art token ecosystem. But beyond trading them, what can you actually DO with them on the platform?
Ah, that's where the fun part comes in. Remember, this whole thing is about buying and selling art.
Right, right. I got so caught up in the tokens, I almost forgot.
It's easy to get lost in the weeds, but those RT tokens, they're your ticket to the show.
So you can use them to buy digital art, but it's not just about buying whole pieces, right? There's that whole fractional ownership thing.
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. You can buy a tiny piece of a much larger artwork, Like, imagine owning a tiny sliver of a famous digital masterpiece.
Whoa, so instead of one person owning the whole thing, it's split up among a bunch of
Yeah,
people.
exactly. Each person owns a digital fraction of the whole artwork.
Okay, so it's like owning a share of a company, but instead of stock, you're buying a piece of art.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And as the artist gets more popular, the value of your piece could go up too.
It's like an investment, but with art as the asset.
You got it.
Yeah.
You're not just buying a piece of art, you're investing in its future value.
This is making me rethink the whole idea of owning art. But wouldn't this fractionalization thing dilute the value of the original piece if it's not a single unique thing anymore?
That's a great question. And a lot of people who are into traditional art are struggling with that idea.
I can imagine.
But think about it this way. The total value of the artwork, it stays the same. It's just spread out among more people.
I see. So instead of one owner, you have a community of owners, each with a stake in the artwork's success.
Exactly. It's like a shared investment. But with art instead of stocks or real estate.
This is getting me excited about the potential here. It's a whole new way to think about art and value.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And decentral art is really pushing the boundaries here. Okay. It's changing what art ownership can look like in this digital world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We talked about the token sale, the whole concept of fractional ownership. My head is already spinning with ideas.
Mine too. And we're just getting started. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
I can't wait to see what's next.
There's so much more to unpack. We haven't even touched on how artists actually use the platform.
You're right, we haven't.
Or all the different types of art they're creating.
This is just the beginning.
Exactly. We're just scratching the surface.
So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into DecentralArt and see how artists are using it to showcase and sell their work.
Can't wait.
This is a conversation you don't want to miss.
Ah.
All right, so we're back, and we're still neck deep in this DecentralArt thing.
The rabbit hole goes deep, huh?
It does. Last time, we got a handle on those token sales and that whole mind-bending idea of, like, owning a fraction of a piece of art.
Yeah, fractional ownership. It's a real game changer.
It is. But now I'm curious, how do artists actually get involved? Is it complicated?
Surprisingly, no. It's actually pretty user-friendly. Think of it like a mix of social media.
Oh, okay.
And like an online marketplace.
Got it.
But made just for digital art, you know.
Makes sense.
Artists create profiles.
Like on Instagram or something.
Yeah, exactly. They can upload their work in all kinds of formats.
So not just JPEGs.
No. They can even set their prices in RT tokens.
Oh, so the tokens are baked right into the whole process.
They are. And they can even curate their own collections.
So it's like they're building their own online galleries?
Precisely. Without needing a physical space or dealing with, like, the traditional art world gatekeepers.
I can see how that would be appealing. But does this mean, like, anyone can upload anything? Is there any quality control?
That's a good question. And it's something they're still figuring out, I think.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Totally. On one hand, it opens up the art world to everyone.
Democratizes it.
Exactly.
Huh?
But then it also means there's going to be a ton of,
Not so great art.
Yeah, maybe. It makes it harder for the truly good stuff to cut through the noise.
It's like the Wild West out there.
It is. A bit of a digital gold rush.
Okay, let's circle back to this fractional ownership idea for a sec because it's still kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's wild.
Walk me through how a transaction actually works, like step by step.
Okay, so imagine you're an artist, right?
Yeah.
You've just finished this amazing digital artwork.
Yeah.
You upload it to DecentralArt.
Okay.
You set the price in RT tokens.
Okay.
And then you decide how many fractions you want to create.
So you could split it up into like 10 pieces or 100 pieces or even 1,000?
You got it. Let's say you go with 100 pieces. Collectors, they can browse the marketplace,
right,
find your artwork, and if they like it, they can buy one or more of those pieces using their RT tokens.
So it's like buying a little slice of a virtual pie, except instead of pie, it's a piece of art.
That's a great analogy. In each of those pieces, the ownership is tracked on the blockchain.
Oh, right, the blockchain. That's like the super secure digital ledger that keeps track of everything in the crypto world.
You got it. So every transaction is verifiable and permanent. No forgeries, no disputes over who owns what.
Because it's all right there in the blockchain for everyone to see.
Exactly. Transparency is key.
This is pretty groundbreaking stuff. It seems like it could really shake up the art market.
It has the potential to, that's for sure. Especially for those artists who are just starting out.
Yeah, it gives them a way to reach a global audience without needing a gallery to represent them.
Exactly. They can connect directly with collectors and build their own following.
It's cutting out the middleman.
And for collectors, especially those who, maybe don't have a ton of money to spend on art.
Right, it makes it more accessible.
Exactly. They can still own a piece, even if it's a small piece, of something amazing.
Okay, but let's be real, there are risks, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is all digital crypto. It can be pretty volatile.
Oh, absolutely. Like any investment, you got to be smart about it.
So what should people be aware of?
Well, the value of art tokens, it can go up and down.
Right.
And the platform itself, it's still new.
Yeah, it's early days.
So it's important to do your research.
Don't just jump in blindly.
Exactly. Understand the technology, be aware of the potential downsides.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
There's always a bit of risk with anything new, right? But that's also makes it exciting.
It's like those early Bitcoin adopters. Some made a killing, some lost everything.
You never know how it's going to play out. That's the thrill of the ride.
So how do we navigate this new world? What advice would you give to someone who's intrigued but maybe a little hesitant
Good question. I'd say start by learning.
about the technology?
Yeah. About blockchain, how cryptocurrencies work, all of that.
Don't just jump in head first.
No, dip your toes in first.
Get a feel for the water.
Exactly. Explore the platform itself, see what kind of art is being created, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
There are communities online where you can connect with other artists and collectors.
Yeah, there are. It's all about doing your due diligence before you invest any money.
Okay, that's good practical advice. But what about the bigger picture? How do you think all of this will affect the future of art?
Oh, man. I think we're just scratching the surface here. Imagine virtual galleries you can visit from anywhere in the world.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
Interactive art installations that react to you.
It's like stepping into a video game, but it's art.
Yeah, it's blurring the lines between art and technology.
Will traditional art, like paintings and sculptures, become obsolete?
I don't think so. I think it's more about expanding the definition of what art can be.
Adding another layer to the artistic landscape.
Exactly. It's like when photography was invented. It didn't replace painting, it just offered a new way to create and experience art.
And now with digital art and platforms like DecentralArt, we're adding yet another layer.
A layer that's constantly evolving and changing.
It's exciting and a little bit scary all at the same time.
That's the beauty of it. It's uncharted territory. We're making the rules as we go along.
So how do we make sure we're doing it right? Ethically, I mean.
That's a huge question, and I don't think anyone has all the answers yet.
We're talking about fractional ownership, digital assets. It's easy to see how things could go wrong.
Definitely. We have to be mindful of things like ownership rights, authenticity, the potential for manipulation.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. But I think these conversations are important to have, especially now, as this whole new art world is taking shape.
You know, what I've realized through this whole deep dive is that DecentralArt isn't just about buying and selling art.
It's about so much more.
It's about reimagining the entire ecosystem, like from the ground up.
It's a complete paradigm shift. And it's forcing us to really think about what art means in the digital age.
It's been a wild ride so far.
It has. And we're not done yet.
There's still one more part to go.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll step back even further and look at the long-term implications of all this. What does it mean for the future of art? What does it mean for the future of creativity?
Buckle up.
This is a conversation that's just getting started. All right, welcome back to the final stretch of our DecentralArt deep dive.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have, and we've covered so much ground already, but now I want to zoom out. Big picture stuff. What does all of this mean for the future of art? Like, where are we headed?
You know, what really gets me excited is how this is all going to change what art even is.
Oh, okay. Explain that one.
We're so used to thinking of art as this physical object, right? Paintings, sculptures.
Right, stuff you can hang on a wall or put in a museum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But DecentralArt, it's almost like a preview of a future where art is more about the experience.
Okay, I can kind of see that.
Like imagine owning a piece of the digital installation that changes based on, I don't know, the weather or something.
Whoa, so it's like interactive.
Yeah. Or a piece of art that evolves as more people contribute to it.
It's like blurring the lines between art and technology.
Totally. And maybe even gaming, in a way. It's not just static anymore, it's dynamic.
Okay, but if everything's digital and potentially like chopped up into fractions, what happens to the idea of a masterpiece?
You know, that's the really interesting part. The whole idea of a masterpiece might change.
How so?
Instead of one priceless piece, maybe we start valuing the collective experience more.
Oh, okay, so the shared ownership of something that's always changing and evolving.
Right. It's almost like a shift from owning art to participating in art.
That's deep. But it raises a question for me. Let's say I own a fraction of some super popular artwork. What does that actually look like? Like, do I get a tiny little screen that shows my piece?
That's where it gets really cool, I think. Think about all this AR and VR tech that's being developed.
Oh, yeah, like virtual reality headsets and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Imagine Uni DecentralArt partnering with those companies.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
You put on a headset and suddenly you're in a virtual gallery. You can walk around, look at the art in 3D, maybe even see who else owns pieces of the same artwork.
That's wild. It's like a metaverse, but just for art.
It is. But of course, there's that question of accessibility.
Yeah, not everyone can afford a fancy VR setup.
True. But as the tech gets better and cheaper, hopefully it'll become more widespread.
It's like the internet, right? At first, it was only for a few people, but now it's everywhere.
I think digital art could follow a similar path. But we can't forget about the artists themselves.
No, of course not.
How does all of this change their creative process and their relationship with their audience?
Good point.
Platforms like Uni DecentralArt could really empower artists.
In what way?
They don't have to rely on galleries or like traditional gatekeepers anymore.
Their control.
They can set their own prices, experiment with new ways of creating art, connect directly with their collectors.
It's cutting out the middleman again.
Big time.
Yeah.
But with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, yeah, for sure. How do we make sure everyone's playing fair? Like, what about plagiarism or people stealing art?
That's where the blockchain comes in. Remember how we talked about it being immutable?
Like, it can't be changed.
Exactly. We can use that to create a system where every piece of art is authentic and traceable.
So it's like each piece has a digital fingerprint that can't be faked.
You got it. Which is huge for preventing forgeries and stuff like that.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. But even with all this, I can't shake this feeling that there are still some big ethical questions out there.
Oh, for sure, that we're entering uncharted territory here.
Like, what does ownership even mean in a world where you can copy digital art so easily?
Yeah, or what's to stop a few wealthy collectors from, like, hoarding all the best pieces?
There's a lot to think about.
It is. And it's important to have these conversations NW while we're still figuring things out.
Right, we're shaping the future of art here.
We are. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from all of this, at least for me, is that Unity Central Art isn't just about buying and selling art.
It's about so much more than that.
It's about reimagining the whole system, from how art is created to how it's valued to how we experience it.
It's a whole new way of thinking about art.
And it's just the beginning. Who knows what the future holds?
Well, we've gone deep into this platform, looked at the good and the bad, and even tried to predict what's coming next. But now it's your turn. What really stood out to you during this deep dive? What questions are you still grappling with? Take all this information, keep the conversation going, and maybe you'll be the ones shaping the future of art.